This is Delcio Barbarossa, currently first choice starter for an exciting young sporting side that is dominating Portugal and Europe. Now he came through the sporting youth ranks, very much like one CR7, Ronaldo. And the similarities do not end there. Just like Ronaldo, he started his career as a wide attacker. He's very good with both feet, physically really impressive, fantastic on the ball, works hard, and has massive potential. So after using him in this current save for about 3 to 4 seasons, I'm convinced this guy could be the new Ronaldo. The position he plays, the attributes, hell, even the team he starts off with, Sporting, it's all very Ronaldo. So in this save where I was his manager during his early career, next I'm going to flip things up a bit and become his agent and guide him through the rest of his career, with the overall goal being to see if we can get him even close to Ronaldo. So for stage 1, I'm going to keep him for another season at Sporting. However, he has spent his entire career wide in that AML slot, playing as a wide playmaker. And he's done well in that position, scoring 10 in his first season. He followed that up with another 20 in his second, and last season was his best season yet with 21. But from now on, we're going to try and mirror the Ronaldo effect by changing his position to be a striker. Now he can play striker, he's comfortable there, more as a false 9, but I've been playing a deep line forward, so I'm going to retrain him to be just that. When we highlight his attributes, he should be well suited to it. He's got decent finishing, composure on the way up, good off the ball as well. So to get him to adapt even quicker to being a full-on striker, we're going to retrain him in that deep line forward role. Now the year, by the way, is 2031. That's when we're starting this project. Now in charge of Sporting, we have completely dominated using this tactic setup. So we're going to keep this setup, just moving Barbarossa to the deep line forward position. Now using this setup, we won 16 trophies, including 2 Champions Leagues and multiple league titles. It'll be interesting to see if we continue to dominate by moving him up front. So now playing as an out-and-out striker, you could say he started pretty well, smashing in a hat-trick in the first game of the season. This looks pretty promising. So he's set and ready to go. You can see the team looks to be the same as last season. They've only lost 1 match in pre-season to Barcelona. They've already won the Super Cup against Braga, and there's that 6-1 where he got that massive hat-trick. So as far as the team goes, he starts every match in that deep line forward role. He started well with that hat-trick. Already he's starting to adapt faster to the deep line forward position, and his attributes, the key ones that we need, look to be on the rise. Let's see how he goes for season 1. By the midway point of the season, the team were simply unaffected by the change of position for Barbarossa. And as far as his performance went, it was fair to say that he was enjoying himself. By the end of December, he'd already bagged 17 goals in all competitions, and attribute-wise, flying up. Also flying up was his top value, now at a whopping 171 million. Fair to say there was no need to change the tactic, as it seemed ideally suited for him. By the time the season finished, Sporting had had another fantastic season. Yet again winning the League of Portugal, they end up winning 5 trophies, the only disappointment being the Champions League. As for our boy Barbarossa, he's now a natural in that striker position, having played the entire season there. During this season, he scored a whopping 29 goals with 11 assists from 53 matches. It means so far in his young career, he's scored 80 goals and 33 assists. Add to that to his past awards of the next gen player for 2 years in a row, we've got ourselves an exciting player here. He ends this season his first as a striker as the joint top scorer in the Portuguese league, sharing the honour with Samu, but to be fair, Samu did score 9 penalties, and as of yet, Barbarossa doesn't take them. But if he's anything like Ronaldo, I probably should put him on penalties as well. Right, a great first season, but I kind of knew that was going to be the case because that tactic and that team are just really good, and he's the best of the bunch. The big question now is, do I keep him there for another season, or is it time to move him on to a different team in Europe? I mean, that's what Ronaldo did, right? When he was young, he went to Manchester United. Still an uncut gem. If anything, at 20, Barbarossa is a little bit older and probably a little bit more of the finished article than Ronaldo was at that point. The other thing to think about is there's not many teams that can afford him with that sort of value. So is he better off staying for another season in this tactic where I know he's going to score a bucket full of goals, or do we take the risk? So it was time for stage 2 and season 2, and Delcio, now 21 and with 7 caps and 3 goals for Portugal, was progressing nicely. However, the transfer window had come and gone and there was no bids for him. Maybe the asking price is putting off a few teams. So I decided it wouldn't be a disaster for another season at Sporting. And this time he was added to be the main penalty taker. Despite not being great at it, it's something he can work at. And to speed this on, I added penalty taking as his individual training routine. And to be fair, it looks like the practice is working. At the halfway point of season 2, he's crushing it with 17 goals and 10 assists, and that 6 penalties isn't half helping. This has led to him being named the best under-21 player in the world by FIFA. And it seems to have finally caught the attention of some clubs as the Premier League are looking, including mighty Manchester City. So with the team as dominant as ever in the league, probably the best they've played yet, it probably is the time to move him on, because it is pretty much total domination. So I'm at the midway point of season 2 and I'm expecting an offer any day now. Now Man City have not been shy about their admiration for him, but there's also Bournemouth, and that might not be a daft move either because he's probably guaranteed to start there. As you can see, his attributes are all on the way up. He's nearing the complete package now at 21. And sure enough, just 2 days into the transfer window opening, Manchester City come in with a massive bid for Barbarossa. 88 million up front, bunch of instalments. It's going to end up costing 163 million. At this stage, it's the right time for him to take this step. I'm happy with the move, but the squad aren't. But hey, I'm an agent now. That's not my problem. In what would prove to be his farewell match against Benfica, to be fair, he played really well, and in the 13th minute, put them in front. Just a few days later, the deal was done. Barbarossa signs for Manchester City in the next step of his career. Now, part of me thinks this might be too soon, but remember, Ronaldo moved to Manchester United dead early, and we're trying to replicate that. But the other worry is, my worry now is, will he get enough game time? So he's at Manchester City as a star player. Kieran McKenna is their manager. How he's ended up there, I don't know, but he is their current manager. And it looks like they're flying at top of the table, so will he get into their team? And just looking at their squad, they've already got Mbappe and Haaland. So either Mbappe's playing up front or he's playing on the left, which is two of Barbarossa's positions. I'm a little bit worried about this move now. So the way I'm going to approach this is I'm going to let Kieran McKenna take charge of him for the rest of this season. There's about half the season left. And then, if it's not going how I want it to go, maybe I'll take over at Man City. So in the meantime, I was doing dual roles of being the agent to Barbarossa and the manager of Sporting. But I want to focus solely as my agent career, so I'm going to leave my job as Sporting manager after an epic journey. So stage 3 in Barbarossa's journey, and it's his first season at Manchester City. He's been given the number 14 shirt to make his own, and I'm a little bit surprised, but he does appear to be getting quite a bit of game time. He scored his first goal for the club against Arsenal and bagged the winner against Villa as well. But it does appear that he's getting mostly used off the bench at this stage. Now, when he joined, Kieran McKenna was doing great and Man City were top of the league. However, all was looking well for him, but he has lost 3 of his last 4 matches and they've dropped down to 4th position and looking unlikely to win the league. So maybe I might be in business to take over. And if I do, well, Barbarossa will be starting every match with Haaland and Mbappe. But City won their last league game of the season to finish second. And Kieran McKenna has actually been there 3 years, and when you look at it a bit closer, he's got a bit of collateral in the bank because he won the Champions League and the Premier League last season, so I might be waiting a while for that job. So I'm going to let McKenna take charge of a full season for Barbarossa. And, interestingly, Erling Haaland, now 32, is the subject of a bid from Inter Milan. Now, if that's accepted, maybe, just maybe, Barbarossa can take that position. Let's wait and see as he goes into his first full season with Man City. So the first thing to report is City win the Premier League title again, so it doesn't look like we'll get the job. In fact, we definitely won't get the job because they won the Champions League as well. But how did Barbarossa do? Currently out injured, but it's not a serious one, 6 to 7 weeks. His season as a whole, a bit frustrating really. Mostly used off the bench, 28 total appearances, 9 goals. His average rating's still really good, so he's performing well, he just can't get in that team. However, this is where it gets interesting because remember, we are in the year 2034. Erling Haaland is now 33. Kylian Mbappe now 35, and despite starting nearly every match this season, he's calling it a day at the end of the season, which does bring up a big gap in the team. And if you look at the appearance column, Barbarossa was probably the most used attacking sub, so he should get into that starting 11 next season. So after his first full season with City in the Premier League, his overall statistics now read 110 goals, 46 assists, and then add to that 22 caps and 6 goals for Portugal. So a little frustrating that he's getting used mostly off the bench because I'm looking at his attributes right now and they have all gone up big time. Finishing's getting close to that elite level. His composure's got there. His off the ball's gone flying through the roof. He's absolutely perfect to start for an elite team. He's just been unlucky that he's had Mbappe and Haaland in front of him, but they are getting close to aging out, so I'm going to stick faith with Kieran McKenna. I'm not going to butt in. I think he will play more this season. Let's find out. Now, I did get 2 job offers during the summer, big ones as well, Manchester United and PSG. It just shows the reputation we built after all those years at Sporting means we will get a big job if we need it. However, after turning down the PSG job, McKenna leaves Man City to join them. Wait a minute. And yes, indeed, I am awaiting an approach from Man City. although there is stiff competition, including club legend Vincent Kompany. And after a successful interview, we beat Big Vince and become the new Man City manager. Now, this is a huge, star-studded squad. But one man's going to be happy I'm here, and that is definitely our boy Delcio Barbarossa, who is now an absolute ironclad starter. So when I started this mission, I did not expect to be sat here as manager of Man City, but here we are. Now, I've got a great squad, but I'm not really bothered about that. I just need to get the best out of the boy Barbarossa, and to do that, I need to get him in a tactic that I know he likes. So temptation is to jump straight into our sporting playmakers tactic that I know works so well, but I do want to try something a little bit different. So what we'll do is we'll use that as the template, but we'll tweak things here and there and make it a fresh tactic. And of course, if I want to use Barbarossa up front, which I think I do, it might mean a two up front approach because I've still got Erling Haaland and he shows absolutely no signs of slowing down. And he definitely wasn't slowing down. As the season got going, he was insane at 34 years of age. And he scored 55 times at 34, so yeah, he kind of overshadowed Barbarossa a little bit. But they did play up front together in this new hybrid formation, Barbarossa playing as a channel forward, and despite Haaland taking most of the headlines, he still put up a good show as well. I can have no complaints about this season. He claims the Young Player of the Year award for the second time and gets in the Dream 11, scoring 21 times with 17 assists. He's also a wanted man with clubs from Saudi and Bayern Munich taking a look. And overall the team did really well, winning the Prem, couple of cups, just filling in the Champions League final. So hopefully that team performance keeps us in a job and we can stay in charge of his career at the same club. Now, you'll notice I gave him a new number 11. Sadly, number 7 was taken. But if you look at his overall career, so his start to life at City, his first season, 2 goals, I wasn't there. Second season, 9 in 28. Now his first season with me, 21 goals, 17 assists, 59 matches. Now, compare that to this Ronaldo record, and you will see he's actually ahead because Ronaldo started to really crank it up in later seasons. With United, he was there 6 years. So maybe he's actually ahead at this stage. So he did well up front with Haaland, but to be fair, like we said, Haaland did kind of overshadow him with 55 goals, but he's nearly 35 now, so surely he can't keep this up. So I propose we keep Barbarossa at City for at least another 2 seasons, and then we'll explore his next move. As long as we keep this form up, we should be able to stay in charge of him as well and not get sacked, so that will help. But that was a record season in terms of assists, and it now leaves his goal tally at 131 and his assist tally at 63. We charge into the new season, but Barbarossa got a massive injury. A really bad injury for Delcio as he fractures his lower leg in pre-season, and that led to other problems throughout the season, meaning he missed a load of game time. Thankfully, he came back for the close of the season, playing up front with Big Erling yet again. Considering he missed a big chunk of the season, 17 goals and 9 assists was pretty damn good. And the team overall did well, winning a domestic double, not quite reaching the final of the Champions League though. But it does mean his goal record is now at 148 with 72 assists. After the domestic double, we are safe again, so we can give him another season at Man City. So with Haaland about to turn 36, it could be a chance for Delcio to become the main man at City. Now the following season, well, first the good news. The good news was, after a bit of a glitchy time, we turned it round and took down the league title yet again. We scored 100 goals, but we were just a bit loose this time. And that was probably my fault because I used about 14 different styles of tactic this season, just trying stuff out. And Delcio didn't have his greatest season. He scored 16 times still with 10 assists, but it could have been so much better. The good news was he was making movements on the world stage because he was shortlisted for the FIFA Best Men's Player last season, and he's added to his caps for Portugal with 34. Now, there is interest in him from PSG and Napoli, and he has been with City now for 5 seasons, so it's getting close to the point where I'm thinking about moving him on. But we used this tactic quite a lot this season, and Haaland, unsurprisingly at 36, had his worst season yet with 20 goals. I mean, he still scored 20 times, but his contract's up at the end of the season. I'm not going to renew it because I want to make Delcio the main man. So he's going with City yet again. The pressure is on me a bit though, because I did fail in the Champions League getting knocked out of the last 16 stage, so they weren't too happy about that, but they still overall are pretty pleased, so hopefully we'll last another season. So with Haaland gone, the centre forward spot was all Barbarossa's as he spearheaded a brand new tactic. He had a great season and was one of the best players in the Champions League. Overall, it was another impressive season with yet another double and a semi-final appearance in the Champions League. And personally, Delcio racks up the goals with 28 in 57 matches. Now 26 years of age, he rocks 176 goals and 80 assists in his career so far. When you look at the amount of trophies he's won, it's staggering. He's won so many trophies at such a young age. So then, that's the shape we played for him this season. I really wanted to make him the focal point, and he is the only focal point up there, with a couple of playmakers pinging the ball to him. Now, as far as progression goes, he's about at his peak now, I'd say. I'd like to get that finishing up to 15 and above, but we'll see how that goes. He's still got a little bit of time to get a little bit of an improvement. But he's been with City now 6 seasons, more like 5.5, but 6 seasons, and there's a big decision that potentially we're going to have to make, because there's a couple of teams after him, and they are very tempted indeed. Bayern Munich have been tracking him for a year, but look at that other team, Barcelona. Now that kind of mirrors Ronaldo's move to La Liga from Manchester. So if Barcelona come in for him, I'm going to say, yep, let's go to La Liga. And I am actually also considering Bayern Munich. I'm considering it. He's kind of done everything he can at Man City. We've won league after league, title after title. There's not a lot left for him to do, and we're just walking the league now as well. 10 points this time. So potentially myself and Delcio have a big decision to make with Barcelona lurking. It might be the next move to take him to that next level, like it was for Ronaldo when he went to Real Madrid. So quite a bit has happened as we head into the year 2038. As you can see there, I've quit my job. Delcio has gone to Barcelona, managed by Vincent Kompany, but he's also getting linked to my old job. This is carnage. So I'm delighted to get Delcio the move to Barcelona. It was late in the transfer window. It was that late that I accepted a bid that I probably shouldn't have. Here it is, 70 million from Barcelona. Cut price move. The season had already started. He started really well, but off to Barcelona he goes and to La Liga. And I thought, Vincent Kompany, he knows what he's doing. He'll play a nice attacking football, but it looks like he might end up back at City. And if he does, what manager will be in charge of Delcio's career from that point forward? Or could it be my 57-year-old ass? Well, no, because Man City hired Tedesco to take charge, so Vincent Kompany stays in charge at Barcelona. As expected, Barca have got a hell of a squad. Some players are still clinging on there, like Xavi, but there's also Wanyeri and some insane new-gen players. But the good news is he appears to be playing Delcio straight away. He's played against Anderlecht in the Champions League, and he played in La Liga and scored his first goal. But he does look like he's playing him from that left-hand side. But that's okay, I'm just happy he's getting game time, so let's see what Vincent Kompany can do with him this season. So we've established that he's kind of mimicking Ronaldo's career. Ronaldo left Manchester United having played 196 games and scored 84 goals. And Barcelona has a similar record, having played 238 games for Man City, scoring 94 goals. Now, as for his first season with Barcelona, well, it's successful in terms of honours as he wins La Liga in his first season with the club. It was pretty successful. He was the second best player for Barcelona in terms of average ratings. And playing from that left-hand side, he bags 13 goals, 2 assists in 39 matches with a cracking average rating. So a good personal season, and he added 3 more trophies with Barcelona. So what do we do now? I wanted him to be an out-and-out striker, and in Ronaldo's first season in La Liga, he scored over 30 goals playing as a striker. But Kompany played Delcio from that left-hand side, which is probably his best position. But if you look at his attributes now, you'll notice his finishing has crept up to 15, so he has improved still further, and he's a first-choice starter for Barcelona now, so there's no way I should change things by inserting myself as manager. No way. Of course, he can't be the main man at Barca just yet, because Lamine Yamal at 31 is still there, and he just put up some absurd numbers this season. So the only way I can see myself going in charge at Barcelona is if Vince takes the Man City job. We'll see how the summer goes. Otherwise, he's going to be a starter next season for Barca, probably on that left-hand side. So we've just finished his second season at Barcelona, and despite being given the number 9 shirt, being regarded as one of 3 key players for mighty Barcelona, having an absurd average rating in La Liga of 7.70 with 9 Player of the Match awards, after this season it doesn't look like our boy Delcio can match or get close to the insane numbers of Ronaldo. However, he is having one hell of a career. I've totaled up now that he has 34 trophies to his name. So that's 34 trophies at 29 years of age. So the goal now is not to match Ronaldo in terms of personal achievements, but to get Delcio Barbosa to 50 trophies by the time he calls it a career. He's also became one of the key players for the national team, having amassed 62 caps and 17 goals, so the second goal will be to get him to 100 caps. As far as this season domestically went for him, there was only the Super Cup to add to his trophy collection, as Vincent Kompany's Barcelona lost out to Atletico Madrid in La Liga. Now I can't imagine Kompany's under any immediate pressure, but if he is, I will be ready, waiting to swoop in. The next season followed a similar pattern. Only one trophy was claimed, the FIFA Club World Cup. They lost out on La Liga, only made the round of 16 in the Champions League, and were embarrassed in the Copa del Rey 4th round. Vince, what are you doing? So with that in mind, it's a bit of a disappointing season for Barbarossa, despite a personal really good performance with another whopping average rating from that left-hand side. The problem is, if I'm thinking about moving him on, that value is going to rule out a lot of clubs. And at 29 years of age, I think it's a little too early to go to Saudi. So we are at a bit of a crossroads now, because at this sort of stage, a little bit later on in his career, Ronaldo went to Serie A to get some more league titles with Juventus. But I don't think there's a team in Serie A that can afford 287 million. But we do have that new goal now, so for Barbarossa to get up to 50 trophies, he's currently sat on 34. I need to go somewhere or stay at Barcelona where I can kind of guarantee trophies. Thing is, under Vince at the minute, they may have peaked, and I might have to wait till he gets out before trophies will come back in. And he has been with Barcelona for 5 seasons, so it's probably time for him to move on, but will they pull the trigger? But then movement. Tedesco, after finishing 6th with Manchester City, was sacked, and their first choice to replace him, Vincent Kompany. In the meantime, I was approached by Inter Milan. I won't lie, I'm kind of tempted. Maybe I take over at Inter Milan and then put a blockbuster bid in for Barbarossa. But that Man City job is still available, so what if Kompany goes there and then Barca's available? So I figured I'd take the interview with Inter and see how much money they've got to spend. And there it was, 73 million. I don't think I'm going to manage to get Delcio with that. So I decided to ask for more money. But then it did happen. Vince leaves Barcelona to rejoin Man City, and I was installed as one of the favourites for the job. Awkwardly, Inter offered me the job, so I had to reject that. Sorry, lads. But then Barca fobbed me off and appointed Fabian Hürzeler. So I had little option other than to give him a chance to get the best out of Delcio. And it did appear that he was going to start him regular on that left-hand side. But put simply, it wasn't the greatest season, although we did clock another 2 trophies, the Supercopa and Copa del Rey, taking our tally to 36. But La Liga was once again dominated by Atletico Madrid. Who the hell's in charge there? Oh my days. Diego Simeone is still at Atletico Madrid at 72 years of age. Thankfully for him, he's going to retire. I think you deserve it, Diego. He's been in charge since 2011. That's 31 years in charge of Atletico Madrid. So anyway, back to Barbarossa. An injury-ravaged season saw him only play 26 matches, still a decent average rating of 7.54. But I just feel like under this manager, he's not going to get the best out of him. But he's wanted by Bayern Munich, who are newly without a manager. They've had an interesting cast list of managers for sure, and they've just sacked Martin Skrtel. He didn't last very long. So I'm thinking there's 2 options here. We either go for Bayern Munich job, buy Delcio, take him to Bayern, or wait for Bayern to approach Hürzeler and then try again to get the Barca job. Well, as it happens, Bayern Munich come in for me. Big decision to make here, but look at that transfer budget. 216 million should give us the funds to go for Delcio. So in a shocker, I took the job and I went straight for Barbarossa, where I was greeted with a not for sale tag. Oh dear. Undeterred, I slapped in a bid of 120 million, which was swiftly rejected. Now this current Bayern team have a great squad, look at some of those transfer values, but we're going to wait for Delcio before any tactics are inserted. So I bid again and again and again, and the blockbuster bids were just turned down by Barcelona. So I thought, to hell with it, I'll stay in charge of Bayern and try and get him in the next transfer window. To do that, I slotted in this 4-4-2 variation. And it really worked, as we won the Super Cup, the Pokal, the Bundesliga and the Champions League for a glorious quadruple. So while I was messing around in Germany, well, Delcio, he won a few more trophies as well. Barcelona claimed the La Liga and the Supercopa, taking up his personal trophy tally to 38. Now he's nearly 32. I'm hoping I can bring him to Germany for a Juventus-esque, Ronaldo-esque stage of his career. It had another decent season with 15 goals and 7 assists, and we started this mission trying to replicate Ronaldo, but to be honest, I think he's turned more into another legendary Portuguese figure in Luis Figo. A creative wide player, capable of playing both wings and with supreme technique and creativity. So into pre-season now, and Barbarossa has got himself to legendary player status, but I still could not get Barca to part with him no matter what I bid, unless I was willing to pay his release clause, which was a whopping 500 million. So I left him at Barcelona, now managed by Mikel Arteta. You see, after Simeone finally retired, Fabian Hürzeler jumped to Atletico. So watching from a distance, this Bayern team had created, well, we had another great season. In the Champions League, for example, semi-finals against AC Milan. Well, they simply could not handle the 4-4-2 we created, and we smashed them 7-0. That was part of another 5 trophies. The only trophy we missed out on was the Pokal. And for Delcio, now playing as a striker for Barcelona, bagging another 23 goals, I decided I need him with me at Bayern. With 1 year left on his contract, I made a bid for 115 million. And we get him. Barbarossa will join the next stage of his career in the Bundesliga. He's also now got 97 caps with 25 goals, just 3 more caps needed for that 100 cap target. Attribute wise, technically, he's the complete package, with his finishing rising up to elite level. Physicals are slightly down, but this move to Bayern is a chance to claim some trophies in a hurry. And it's probably needed because Arteta's Barcelona only won the Supercopa, taking his tally to 39 trophies. So now 33, as Delcio Barbarossa joins Bayern, a look at his career stats. Through all that time at Sporting, Man City and another 6 seasons at Barcelona, 278 goals, 125 assists as he launches into the next stage of his career. He's going to slot nicely into the 4-4-2 as one of the 2 strikers, so I'm pretty confident he's going to have a whale of a time in the Bundesliga. He's 33, he's got a 2-year contract. Let's see what happens after that contract ends and how many trophies and goals he's managed to amass. Well, after his first season in the Bundesliga, that should tell you how it went, as Delcio wins German Footballer of the Year. As expected, he fit into the team perfectly, and he scored a goal here in his 10-0 win over Wolfsburg. Yep, 10-0. It meant he won a quadruple in his first season with Bayern, but adds another title to that in the Intercontinental Championship, 5 trophies in his first season. In the next season, with the smallest first team squad I've ever had, that's what you get when you put your technical director in charge of transfers out, idiot. We still managed to claim 2 trophies at the Bundesliga yet again and the Super Cup, but a bit disappointing in the Champions League this time. But he had another good season, scoring 23 times and 18 assists. At 34 years of age, contract is now up. And that bodes an interesting question, because he has now amassed 45 trophies throughout his career. But his contract is up in a month, and I'm going to advise Delcio to let it run out. And interestingly, big sporting rivals Porto are already showing interest. So we're very much at the back end of his career now, 34. I don't think he's going to go to Ronaldo lengths and go to 40. But does he do the unthinkable when this contract runs out? Does he go back to Portugal, but with Porto? So with me still being in charge at Bayern, I can initiate this by setting him for release, so he's going to be available on a free transfer. I expect a stampede of clubs. So having turned 35, Barbarossa leaves Bayern after 2 seasons, which also means so do I. Stop the clocks. In a true shocker, Delcio Barbarossa rejoins Barcelona. Now this move came out of nowhere. They're managed by Welshman Chris Davis of all people as well. What is going on? Now the fact he's registered as an impact sub means he's probably not going to play a lot, but can he get some trophies to his name? Because he's sat on 45, so I need 5 more. It's a 1-year deal. I mean, let's see what they do. Well, so much for impact sub, because he played way more than expected, starting 33 matches. And he'd played so well they gave him an extra year's contract extension. But comedy manager Chris Davis led the team to 0 trophies. Thanks a lot, Chris. So Barbarossa stays on 45 career trophies. He hasn't got a lot of time left in his playing career, and he's left with an idiot in charge. So once again, I was considering taking matters into my own hands. I took the PSG job, bid 6 million for Barbarossa, and Delcio marches on to League 1. He joins an absolutely massive squad, but you bet your life he's going to start every match because he's still fantastic. Look at that. For this season's assault, we went with a 4-3-3 because I'm expecting us to be pretty damn strong in France. Although last season, they blew it and finished 3rd, so a bit of catching up to do. And come the end of the Ligue 1 season, 2 more trophies were claimed, the title and the Coupe de France. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to win the Champions League as well, but when we played Barbarossa's former team Barca, you just know who scored the first goal. And at 36 years of age, he managed to score 10 times with 18 assists. And the League and Cup double managed to take his total trophies up to 47. We're on the brink of getting to 50. But he's only got to make a decision. That's right, Delcio's decided to call it a day at 36 years of age. I'm gutted. He was also discarded by Portugal. Ageism. So he didn't make the 100 caps either. So in an epic career that spanned Portugal, England, Spain, Germany and France, he ends his club career with 341 goals, 190 assists and 47 trophies won. Well, I am gutted that he decided to retire, because if you look at his attributes, yes, they're on the way down a little bit, but he could definitely go for another 2-3 seasons. So he doesn't get to 50 trophies, he gets to 47. He doesn't get to 100 caps, he gets to 97. So close, but still one hell of a legendary career. Today we are going to step into the dark side of Football Manager. This is going to get nasty, and it might lead to a lot of this. Tackles so bad people's heads fall off. Welcome to the bastard. Ouch! So then, welcome to Vitesse. This is a club that really needs to bounce back. So we're starting in the 25-26 season, and then we're given a minus 12 points tally to start. Now, as you can see from the team history, the fewest points in a season is 6, and I think that's to do with the fact they were deducted nearly 40 points that season because of financial irregularities. So this club has a bit of an axe to grind, and they are perfect for this mission. So there you see it. In game, we start the division all the way down here in 20th place on minus 12. So this season's going to be brutal, and it's obviously all about surviving, and then we can build this nasty ass team. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to create the most nasty, horrible team you'll ever see on Football Manager, and I can't wait. So to do this, we've got to completely reshape this squad. So this squad here will not be the squad you will see by the end of this little mission. Now we need to get them to the Eredivisie using a certain style of play. So some of the squads seem to be well suited to what I want to do. Now, get vertical tiki-taka out of your mind, because it's not going to be that. We've got route 1 and we've got direct counter-attack. I like the sound of that. Now when it comes to the tactic, I'm looking at our mentality. It's either going to be one of two extremes, I think. We either go very defensive just to absolutely kill teams, or we go very attacking, go balls to the wall and just smash teams up. The most sensible move is probably somewhere in between, attacking or defensive, but on a game-by-game basis, don't be surprised to see a bit of very defensive and a bit of very attacking as well from my bunch of lunatics. So it will be route 1 based, because that kind of fits in with the no-nonsense mentality that I'm going to build this squad DNA around. So the squad DNA, this is going to be very different from a normal type of recruitment process we go through, but we are looking for aggression, bravery, determination, teamwork, work rate, stamina, natural fitness, tackling and strength. Now at the minute the squad have got some decent ratings, but I want to see these ratings bursting out the seams. So that is the squad DNA. Basically they're going to be nasty bastards. Now to help recruit with that and to review, I've got a squad view that will show this even better. So this is where Moneyball comes into play. This is a very different type of Moneyball search when we get down to it, because as you can see across these metrics, it's not the usual ones we look for. The first one is fouls made. Then we've got yellow cards, red cards, tackles, headers, possession won, and mistakes leading to goal. See, I feel bad for this squad, because whichever player finishes top of mistakes leading for goal is going to have a squad forfeit, and I don't want to mess with these boys once we've built this squad. So when we go to recruit, we're going to be using the Fug Life player search, and we've got those metrics locked in. Fouls, tackles, pressures, distance ran, possession won, you get the idea. So we'll combine Moneyball data with attributes to find the perfect players for our squad type. I mean, in a perfect world, those would be the metrics, but as you can see, as of yet, those players are not available for us. So when I first look for players, the first thing that I'll be looking for is aggression of at least 15. When we get to the end of the season, we'll check out these metrics to see what lunatics are available. And do you know what's interesting? I've got an attribute search on here, check it out, just for aggression. Now, it's July in game, so the Scandinavian leagues are rolling. And it's interesting to see how the attribute search is bringing up some lunatics as well. For example, this is Burka Ma Severson. Now, look, aggression 15, bravery 15. He's actually quite what we're looking for, and when we look at his metrics that he's just sprang up on the player search, he's already made 25 fouls this season, and he's done that in 15 matches. My kind of guy. It's just a shame he's 40, otherwise I would have signed him. In fact, he's out of contract and he can join us in December, so what the hell, let's get him in. So come New Year, we can look forward to a 40-year-old Icelandic Viking nutcase joining the squad. He'll fit in perfectly. So the question is, are any of the current squad where we need them to be in terms of aggression levels? So I guess I need to introduce you to a couple of the players that actually fit the remit straight away. The first is defender Valon Zumberi. There he is. He's only 22, so he could feasibly be with us through this journey. Aggression of 16, bravery of 16, pretty decent. As a guide, I'm looking for these metrics across here to be as high as possible. We're in the second division at the minute, so anything between 13 and 15. But when we get to the Eredivisie, if we get there, I want 15 plus. So another good all-rounder is Alexander Butner. Remember him? He used to be at Man United years ago. He's actually pretty good technically as well with his crossing and his passing. He's a bit of a bonus because he's also a bit of a lunatic with aggression at 16. In terms of the rest of the squad though, our aggression levels are pretty low. We've got a very nice bunch of players, and that's just not what I'm looking for. So there'll be some big rotation come the end of the first season. Yeah, so I would only say there's one player that I'm definitely going to keep throughout this, and that's Valon, the centre-back. Alexander Butner is good, but he's also 36, so he's not going to last too long. And either setup, I'd love to go 4-4-2 or something like that, or just chuck a ton of strikers on to go against the anti-FM26 meta. There'll be no strikerless here, that's for sure. As far as the media prediction goes, well, it may look good at 16th, but bear in mind that the teams below us, PSV, Ajax, AZ and Utrecht, they're deemed non-applicable because they can't get promoted, so they're out of the equation in terms of betting. So us being 150 to 1 are predicted to finish firmly bottom. It may be that we might have to keep faith with our first squad to keep us up in this league because we do only have 64,000 and the wage budget is basically non-existent. So a few of these nice boys in the day one squad might have to be swayed to the dark side for season 1. So despite having no money, I wanted to get my own scouts in place so I could build my shortlist. So in came Mustafa Hadji with great knowledge of Africa. We've also got Maxime Foulet, he's going to cover loads of different areas around the world. And Hungarian Milenk Hofer, he's just going to zone in on a couple of places. So I have bulked my scout team up, but we probably won't get the real benefits of those till seasons 2 or 3. Now, pre-season didn't go great if I'm honest, we lost every match and we didn't look very good at all. In the first league game of the season, we got battered by the young Ajax team, so I needed a little bit of a rethink. So I landed on this, it's a 4-4-2. Now, important note to mention here, just because we're going to build a horrible team doesn't mean we can't have good footballers as well. We want the best of both worlds, which is why I've got ball-playing centre-backs, a deep line forward, and a channel forward to run all over the place. And with the new 4-4-2 system in place, we started to look pretty good. Scoring that goal was one of 2 new signings, Yuya Ikashita. As you can see, he's elite in a number of the DNA targets: aggression, teamwork, work rate, stamina. And he has vast experience in the Dutch leagues and he was a free transfer. As expected, Alexander Butner had started out superbly with 3 assists in the first 4 matches. His creativity was outrageous, he's going to be a key player. And just as we were starting to build some momentum, Alexander kicked off, demanded a transfer and he's gone to the Eredivisie, leaving a gaping gap down the left hand side, but we did manage to get another player in on a free transfer, and it's a quality one. Timothy Forzu-Mensah, released by Bayer Leverkusen, will come in for some extra quality at centre back. Alongside elite bravery, he's very good in terms of the other metrics we're looking for. In our first 8 matches we won 4 times and got rid of that -12 deficit, and we've got 1 mighty point. It took me a little while to decide on the formation, but now we've got it, this one seems to be the goer. As we got to the midway point of the season, the fouls were indeed starting to rack up. But the team were looking good and we'd even got a good out of possession setup sorted, winning the ball back all the time. And amongst this squad there are some decent players, including striker Banis. Now he's not elite in the terms of DNA we're looking for, but he's good enough in most cases and he's smashed in 12 goals this season. And anytime you get 0.6 goals per 90 minutes from your striker, you're in a good place. And after the dodgy early season where we were working things out, our tactic has absolutely hit with this team. No longer do we need to look at the bottom because we've rose all the way up to position 8. And if you look a little closer, without that -12 deduction, these boys would be top of the league. And we've got one of the lowest possessions in the league, and that's fine because we're counter-attacking fantastically. Now, despite this squad not being as aggressive as I want it to be yet, they are still putting themselves about as well. So then, this first season was all about staying in the league. But something completely balmy's happened because with only 2 new signings, we just played unbelievably all season. From the moment I stripped it down and just asked them to play simple, that's what they did and they just cannot stop winning. Aggressive direct play with the front 2 linking up superbly. We've got ourselves promoted despite that massive 12-point deficit. And the final game of the season, we smashed Den Haag and take down the championship. Just a stunning performance from the boys. Keep your eyes on Banis, who says aggressive footballers can't have a bit of class as well. A bit unexpected, you might say. See, I was set up for a long slog in this division, but we finished the league with 68 points. If you add our 12 to that, we took this league down by about 15 points. I mean, once we got going, we went undefeated from here, mid-September, all the way through till early February, I think. Yeah, 0-2. Wow. And all we did was play a simple, aggressive 4-4-2. It's as standard as you get. We have 1 midfielder pushing on, the attacking midfielder, and 1 midfielder sitting, while the 2 wingers supply the ball in for the strikers. So the big success was out of possession. With tracking wingers, it means we have basically a back 6 because the 2 full backs tuck inside, so inviting crosses makes sense. And I let the opposition centre backs have the ball, pushing my 2 strikers back to attacking midfield positions so they sit on their midfielders. We also kept a lower defensive line to hit teams on the counter, seemed to work a treat. Because we were 17th place in terms of possession, but top when it comes to goals scored by 20 clear goals. And we kept the most clean sheets, which I absolutely love. And my squad's not the most aggressive at the minute, but we still managed to finish top 3. So we're in the Eredivisie, probably a season or two earlier than I expected, which does bring its own problems, as the squad I've got here is nowhere near what I'm looking for in terms of the overall DNA of the squad, so I'm going to have to do a big turnaround in the summer, and usually when a lot of players come in, it means the chemistry goes all over the place. But the nucleus of the team is really impressive. If you look at the defenders, so the starting back 4 there, all of them had possession won well in double figures, which is great. And in terms of the defence, Zumberry, who we highlighted at the start, you can see compared to other defenders, he's had a pretty good season. That pass completion rate for a centre-back's good, the interceptions are outstanding, as are the blocks. And up front, Banis, well, I've given him a new contract, because despite his attributes not being quite as high as I'd like them to be, he smashed in 22 goals this season, and he's an aggressive little so-and-so. And he gives me a bit of everything up front. He's got goals at 0.5, he dribbles a bit so he runs the lines, and he's a threat from assists as well. Like him. As for other key players, Ekashite looks like a good little sign-in as well. From an attacking standpoint, he was actually way better than I thought he would be. And physically, he puts in the work, as do a lot of my players, to be fair. So, stunning performance from the boys, but don't get too attached to these lot because we've got to get rid of them. Because in the summer, I'm going to look to get these attribute levels up in these key metrics. So a lot of pretty decent technical players will find themselves on the way out. This is a very different way of doing things, but I do want to stress that just because they're aggressive doesn't mean they can't be good as well. So we're still going to play football, we're just going to murder people at the same time. But deal's a deal, so I've got to get my squad DNA players in, which leaves all these players getting replaced. So it's time to reshape the squad. Well, first up, we as a club have fantastic facilities, which has led to some great youth players coming through. Some are highly rated but don't hit our DNA, but some of them really do. 17-year-old centre-back Yuri Van Kooten, for example, with all the bravery, determination and tackling in the world, looks like a good prospect. Add to that Rivellino Wangasoy. He's only 16, but look at this, bravery, determination, teamwork, and his other attributes are pretty decent as well. Then we've got 16-year-old Fabian Martens. I'm hoping he builds some aggression to go alongside his other good attributes. And already aggressive and brave is 15-year-old lunatic De Graaf. Let's keep an eye on him as well. So with that amount of young players available, it might mean we don't need to get as many players in. But the first batch of signings were some free transfers. Veteran goalkeeper Manuel Reimann is absolutely perfect for us with his aggression, his bravery, his determination, his work rate. Hell, even his natural fitness for a goalkeeper is outrageous. Next signing was Argentinian striker Federico Girotti. He gives me the strength I'm looking for, and his other attributes are all on the brink of 15. And the final signing was right back Rick Karsdrup. Some key attributes standing out. Here's a player with a good history. He's a bit of a marquee signing for us. I said I was going to have to rotate the squad big time, and I've got a ton of players on the way in. First up is centre-back from Senegal, Karamoko Kamara. A young, strong centre-back with 8 yellow cards this season. Next up we've got aggressive full-back Joey Muller. He topped his team Roda JC in terms of fouls made. As did our next new signing, Andre Poco, an experienced central midfielder with aggression levels bursting out the seams. 73 fouls, 4 yellow cards, 3 red cards. Perfect. I also signed a couple of Greek lunatics in striker Dumishaj and experienced centre-back Papadopoulos. This guy's a lunatic. 79 fouls, 8 yellow cards, 3 red cards this season. Midfielder Marvellous Nakamba from Luton in the Championship. Similar story for him, 72 fouls, 6 yellow cards, 3 red cards, but a tackle win ratio of 85% as well. And welcome to the most ideal player for this save, probably in Football Manager. This is Klaus Gajula. His club say he's not for sale, but I'm going to try my hardest because check this out. Aggression levels at 20, bravery, determination, work rate. He may be 36 years old, but this guy needs to join us at some point. So the gaps in the team should be filled pretty quickly, but there's a couple of players here that performed well last season, like Hoof and Akashite, who deserve to stay in the team, really. By the end of pre-season, with all those players through the door, the squad DNA is starting to look close to what we need to get to now. It's looking good, especially down the aggression tab. We've got some big numbers coming in. We're starting to get nasty. So we've got Vitesse back into the Eredivisie, a league synonymous with good quality football, but not from us. Because our more direct style is going to cause a few shocks. And it might have to, because the media prediction has not been kind at all despite all those new signings, ranking us at a massive 900 to 1. Unsurprisingly, the media Dream 11 is filled with players from Feyenoord, PSV and Ajax. And after the shortest of short pre-seasons, our first game back in the big time is a toughie as we're against PSV away from home. So what to expect from this season? Now, we have got promoted a little too quickly, which has meant loads of players coming in far too fast. And to be honest, 900 to 1 is probably fair. But I am delighted in terms of the squad DNA because it's pretty much there. If we can get more figures, obviously higher than 15, that's what I'm looking for. But as far as aggression's going, we have shot that right up. Obviously, there's no need to change the tactic because a few new players will drop into the team, obviously. Carr's dropped down the right, it's a good pickup. So is Muller, the top foul maker for his team, Roda, last season, but he was also pretty good on the ball. Ahead of them, we've got a bit of a conundrum in midfield because I've had to move Akashite to the more attacking role. That's because Poku's come in and he's more of a destroyer, so he needs to go in the Akashite role, which means Akashite moves to the more attacking role, which might be a bit of a risk, but we'll see. Up front, we'll probably start with Hoof and Banis because they deserve the chance. Both of them scored over 20 goals last season, but it's a bit like Manchester United back in the day. We've got 4 strikers now because we've got Girotti there, who's a big Argentinian 6'2" kind of battering ram. And we've got another 6-foot striker in Dumishaj for Greece, who has been capped by Greece as well. So we're about to get going with our return to the Eredivisie. Goals for the season are to simply survive, but also to let everybody know we are not to be messed with. And come the first game of the season, away at PSV, remember, Banis got rolling straight away. Now PSV did equalise, but later on the front two linked up superbly to give us a shock first day victory. The perfect return to the Eredivisie. We hardly had any of the ball. We tried our best to kick our way to victory. But yeah, you could say that's a bit of a counter-attacking performance. So then, fair to say the first half of the season was interesting and our boys did what they do best. It's fair to say the DNA of the squad has taken over as we top the league in red cards and yellow cards, which obviously means we are the top foul makers in the league, but we are still winning our fair share of tackles as well. Top man in terms of aggression, Andre Poku. It's not surprising to see he leads the way in terms of fouls and he has picked up that red card. Interestingly, one of the day one players, Solomon Bonner, not the most aggressive player we've got, but he's up there in terms of fouls and he's got the most yellow cards. The influence of our new players on the young players is showing. So despite all the yellows and red cards, we've had a great start to the season and it looks like we were right to stick with the excellent Ikashita. He's probably been our best player this season. From that central midfield slot, 5 goals, 4 assists so far. Also going well are the strikers, Banis and Hoof. Banis gave us that shock win over Ajax, a team that plays completely different to us. And no matter what position Hoof played, either deep line forward or channel forward, he continued to put the ball in the back of the net, becoming one of the most lethal strikers in the Eredivisie. Going at 0.8 goals per 90 minutes, that's world class form. So put that all together and it means the team are absolutely flying. We're in the top 7. We've only lost 5 out of 17 and the day one tactic is holding steady. Well, pretty delighted with that first half of the season. The squad are absolutely kicking ass. I mean, quite literally, they're winning the ball back an absolute ton. So that scout team have been busy, loads of players getting recommended, which has helped me create a shortlist for the end of the season. All these players, well, most of them are going to be out of contract, which is vital for us because we've got a pretty tight board. They're not really playing ball, so transfer budget, we've got to be very clever. Now, with us sat in 7th, like I say, we've got 26 points and the bottom 3 are on 15, so we should be fine. Looking higher up, Europe's a slight possibility, but I think what I'm going to do is, a lot of my team are old, so I'm going to look at the under-19s and see if we can start blooding some of those potential players. Specifically those ones that hit the remit, like Yuri, who was the centre-back, and Rivi as the right-back, because his top value was soared to 17 million. So if I can get them involved in a few matches, they can come into this team, because some of the players are getting a little bit old, even though they're still aggressive. And when we get to the end of the season, I'm going to open up the player search as well, so I'm not only going to look at Moneyball and attributes, but I'd love to get a few players in with some traits, a bit like our goalkeeper Ryman, specifically winds up opponents, argues with officials, gets crowd going. Love that. The dark arts. The second half of the season. Bit disappointed to drop to second in yellow cards, but we maintained our place at the top of the red card table, which is the most important. And it was Bono with the red card. The youngster is starting to get into this aggressiveness. Overall, the second half of the season was pretty decent. A few defeats in there, but we fired back each time. And with Ekashite pulling the strings in midfield, and the strikers continuing to deliver, we'd made it to the Euro playoffs. In the first round, it went to penalties, and it was the Ryman show. He saves a penalty, then marches to the penalty spot, and absolutely smashes it in. But in the final 20, got the better of us, despite us having another host of chances. So despite a great season, we just miss out on the Europa League. So those forward positions, I rotated massively. Huth spent a lot of time on the bench after injury, but still scored 9 times, maintaining 0.7 goals per 90 minutes. Banis was again great, 17 goals for the season, and an all-round performance with 0.5 goals per 90 and 0.3 assists. The big star was Federico Girotta, who banged in 26 goals for the season. He was absolutely fantastic, and it's no surprise to see that Ajax are interested in him after he finished top scorer in the league. As far as the youngsters, they're ready for next season now because their attributes continue to rise, helped by a little bit of individual training to get them up to speed. 4 or 5 of these boys will be in the first team squad next season. And for next season, the board have just released the budget. I mean, it's still not great at 300,000, but it's more than we've had to work with. And that's handy because if you look at the overall squad, although I'm happy with the squad DNA, we need more numbers. And to aid that, the shortlist is ready and looking good, with some players on there that I'm desperate to get in. And some of them have some of those traits that just fit perfectly with what we're trying to do. But as far as the dark arts go, I think it's assisting us in terms of winning the ball back. Most of the squad have got a pretty decent tackle ratio, so when they're not smashing into people, they are actually getting the ball. And nearly all the squad are in double figures for fouls, so they know what they're doing. And as for mistakes leading to goals, day one of Valon Zamberi needs to be a little bit careful. Otherwise, his teammates, well, they'll batter him. So after last season's success, I know what I need. I've gone into pre-season here and I've got the positions identified. But there's not a lot to fix because 6th place with our team, and remember, we don't even look at technical abilities or data or anything. I think it's a pretty successful time so far. So we didn't have much money, so initially I relied on some free agents. Managed to get Momadou Unji, a centre back. And I also grabbed aggressive left back Gonzalo Escobar, but I'm thinking I might play him higher up as a winger. He likes to dish it out because last season he clocked 13 yellow cards and 56 fouls, our type of guy. The next step was some out of contract players, some are on the way in. We've got a new goalkeeper coming in, Charlie Setford from Ajax, looks like a good apprentice to our boy Ryman. Then we've got a bit of a Swiss Army knife in Lucas Cacavenda, he can play pretty much everywhere. Experienced midfielder Pedrinho will be coming in, aggression, bravery, determination, work rate, perfect midfielder for us. And then we've got the big outlier, this man, Sandro Cruz. So he's a left back. And initially you'll see, yes, he's got aggression of 16 and fitness of 15, but nothing else elite in terms of our DNA. However, when I was searching for players, he finished top of the fouls made list by a mile, having 80 fouls last season. But to be fair, he backs it up by winning the ball back a ton as well. And when you look a little bit deeper, 17 yellow cards and 2 red cards last season. The man is a psycho. So all them players jump into the team. We've also promoted the youngster, Wongasoy. He's going to be my first choice right back this season. And on the bench, we've got a few more youngsters, including Jan van Kooten. There was also a late move for another centre-back, Lucas Monzon, a Uruguayan. 16 aggression, 17 bravery, teamwork, tackling, strength. This means that the squad now, the DNA of the squad is the strongest it's ever been, and I am absolutely delighted with this team of maniacs. So a few games last season, such as Ajax away, I started with a defensive mentality. Didn't really work. So this season, I'm just going to back ourselves and just go attacking from the get-go. So we'll keep that mentality, and if we take the lead, we can always drop back to defensive or very defensive. As for the media prediction, well, it wasn't as bad as last season when we were 900 to 1, but they reckon 12th position at 250 to 1, so still not much respect. But a good thing about the new players that we signed, a lot of them do have those traits we were looking for. Cruz, unsurprisingly, dives into tackles, as does our man Escobar. And Casavenda looks like a babyface, but winds up opponents, argues with officials, and dives into tackles. Goals for the season? This is the season we try and get into European competition. Although that's going to be tricky because in pre-season friendlies, the lunatic Cruz, well, he got a red card already. Could be a long season. Well, after 7 matches played, we took our rightful place at the top of the fouls table, and the new players had started to settle in fantastically. With Casavenda in particular looking fantastic as he laid on 2 assists against PSV for another early season counter-attack win against the Giants. And it didn't end there as we plundered in the goals in a stunning start to our second season in the top flight. 7 wins out of 7. Outrageous. There is Casavenda. He's actually playing on the left-hand side of midfield and he's got 7 assists in 6 matches. So he's absolutely flying, but there's no way he can keep this up because he's currently going at 1.3 assists per match. Outrageous. And he's bringing the best out of midfielder Ekashite, who's smashed in 5 goals already. So we've conceded in every match, so no clean sheets yet, but we're leading the league by a mile in terms of fouls made per match. As we got to the halfway point of the season, we got some good results against the big teams like this 2-2 draw against Ajax. We nearly stole it with 29% possession if it wasn't for an injury time 94th minute equaliser. Unbelievably, the exact same thing happened away at AZ Alkmaar as they equalised in the 95th minute. Despite those disappointments and a defeat to Feyenoord, we were sat second in the table just behind Ajax. We're slotted just above Feyenoord and PSV and AZ Alkmaar, chasing down Ajax. Europe's got to be on this season. And still, no changes to the original 4-4-2 tactic. Just going into every match with that attacking mentality. And being super cautious with our youngster Wong Soy, had seen his value rocket to 20 million top line. Our top boy, Lucas, from the start of the season, well, he did start to drop off quite a bit. Maybe I was overplaying him, or maybe it was the fact we had PSV, Ajax and Feyenoord in quick succession. Despite those defeats, we are still in a great position in second place, but a shock title win's probably not going to happen this season. But Europe might be on, so thanks to the scouts, I'm going to build a shortlist ready for next season. And some of the recommendations do combine a bit of nastiness, but a bit of class as well. And we might need those backups because we've just lost 6 out of our last 9 matches. Dropping all the way down to 5th position, we're now battling to stay in these European places. And God bless Sandro Cruz, the psychotic left back. He's had pretty limited game time this season, but he still managed to get 7 yellow cards in 8 starts. And he's the top fouls per 90 minute maker in the league. That's exactly why we bought him. The good news was we had turned our form around, and this last day victory over Swol confirmed our place in the European playoffs. In the final, we played Twente yet again, and yet again Twente beat us 2-1. Which means no European competition yet again, which is a bit frustrating, but we did get ourselves top of our yellow card league and top of fouls made, but we were top of tackles won as well, so when we don't get the man, we get the ball. Frustrating little season that, because at one point I thought we might even nick the title, but we fell away badly. But there's a lot to be positive about, namely our boy Wong Soy from the youth team. Now he's valued at 38 million. Put him in the team gently. Now he started basically the entire second half of the season. He's flying. What wasn't flying was our second half of the season. From about December, it started to go, well, tits up. Because as you can see here, this run here absolutely killed us. There were some big teams like Ajax, Feyenoord, AZ, but we got a bit of momentum back here, and then we lost that crucial match at the end. So I think we give it one more go. Now, the thing is, we were neck and neck with Ajax at the halfway point of the season. They ended up 23 points clear of us. So you can see how badly our second half of the season went. But with some better signings, I'm still confident this tactic will do the job. Now, what was slightly disappointing this season was not one red card. There was plenty of fouls and yellow cards. Escobar with 87 fouls, 10 yellow cards. Casavenda with 65 fouls, 10 yellow cards. In fact, he ended up with more yellow cards than assists. If you remember at the start of the season, he had 7 assists in 5 matches. Then he only got 3 for the rest of the season. Massively disappointing. And how about the lunatic Sandro Cruz? Well, he might not be the best player in the world, but in his limited starts, so 10 starts, he managed 33 fouls and 8 yellow cards. That's fantastic going. I guess the big news is we've got our biggest transfer budget yet. It's still only $500,000, but at least it's something. So a big pre-season coming up. We will get this team of maniacs into Europe. I'm swearing it. We will. We started by reshaping the squad with some big-time signings. A new winger in Taoufik Bentayeb from Morocco. Aggression for days, but he's also adding a bit of class in with his crossing. That could be crucial. Midfielder Chris Kevin Nagy, work rate, determination, but we've added agility and pace. Then our new absolute lunatic Christian Belic. We finally found our player with aggression of 20. Also added to those players was Congo striker Jackson Malika. He's going to give us some serious options up front, and he hits every DNA remit we need. With more of the youth team promoted as well, so we've got Nanko, a left winger, and Tiwit, a central midfielder. The squad's a lot bigger, which should hold us in good stead. And just look at that aggression table. And we've still got a month of pre-season left, and with all these A+ recommendations coming in, I expect a couple more players yet. In the first game of the season, in a colour clash for the ages, we've played Feyenoord, and this is where the fans got to know our new man, Mulika. As on his debut, he smacks in a hat-trick, giving us a stunning counter-attacking performance as we beat one of the title favourites 3-1. And in Game 2 against Erik ten Hag's PSV Eindhoven, Girotti got in on the act as we demolished them 5-1. Pretty much a dream start to the season. But following those 2 great results, we lost to Twente, because we always do. But the squad fired back, and against Ajax we took the lead. But just a couple of minutes later, Escobar did that, literally breaking the man in half, getting sent off, and we lost the match 5-1. Thanks a lot, Gonzalo. I mean, at the midpoint of the season, he already had 7 yellows and that red card. But we've done pretty well in the league and we're sitting 4th. Ajax lead the way, and the problem everybody's got is that their players are just ridiculous. Kolo Muani's there, and they've also got Emmanuel Kenny Omega. How can you top this? Well, we might not top them in the league, but we did knock them out of the cup. An extra time winner in a counter-attacking performance. Malika scoring yet again, and he's been superb for us, banging in 19 goals this season, going at 0.6 goals per match. In the second half of the season, there was a big win against Feyenoord. We also knocked them out of the cup as well, with Girotti scoring. After a quiet season last season, back from injury this time, he's banged in 19 goals in 23 matches, at a whopping 0.8 goals per match, so my 2 strikers are absolutely delivering. And they continue to deliver in the semi-finals of the Dutch Cup. Girotti bags a hat-trick, Malika scores the other one as we progress into the Dutch Cup final. So we've already knocked out Feyenoord and Ajax, and we've got to get rid of the next big team in PSV Eindhoven in the final. That's to come. As far as league campaign goes, in Season 4 with Vitesse, we finished in our best position yet. Top 3, just 5 points behind that star-studded Ajax team. Having only lost 5 times and with the best defensive record in the league, there's not a lot more we could have done. Although we did lose our yellow card title, we finished top 3 with the second lowest amount of possession in the entire league. But the most clean sheets, the most fouls made, and the most tackles won. This is where getting players in like the psychopath Belic was such an important move this summer. Although he didn't finish on top of the squad foul table because that honour went to Gonzalo Escobar. He is the true lunatic we were looking for. 34 appearances but 94 fouls, 10 yellow cards and 1 red card. But the 4-4-2 served us well throughout that season. Interestingly, when you go to the team defending data for the entire Eredivisie, standouts in clean sheets, and you know what it is, fouls made per game, top of the league by an absolute mile. But we didn't shift from that 4-4-2 and it paid off. As you can see, 83 clear-cut chances for, and we actually got the out-of-possession stuff looking good as well. So now it was time to guide this horrible team into the Dutch Cup final. Into the match we went. From the free kick, Girotti smashed it in. But from a corner, PSV equalised. And then in the second half, we had the chance from the penalty spot to potentially win the Dutch Cup. It was another typical Vitesse display, 34% possession, but we had more shots, more dangerous. It means we wrap this little story with a 3rd place in the Eredivisie, which gets us into Europe, but also getting us into Europe is that Dutch Cup win as well. It's probably one of the first times that I've not touched a tactic from day one, other than little mentality changes for different matches, but the base tactic has stayed throughout. And for once, for me, the out-of-possession stuff worked with the in-possession stuff and it actually was successful. So as far as the team goes, fouls all over the place, yellow cards all over the place, surprisingly lack of red cards, but maybe they had actual ruthless aggression and were quite good at tackling for once. And probably the thing I'm most proud of is the way we've completely reshaped this squad to have a complete squad now full of, well, aggressive maniacs. So much about Football Manager is about the youth, finding wonder kids, but not today, as we look to reignite the careers of grizzled veterans. Welcome to the Coffin Dodgers.
Leave the football before the football leaves you.
So then, welcome to Jurassic Park. Now instantly out of the equation for the club were fallen giants such as Schalke and Hertha Berlin, both of whom had a key emphasis on signing young players for the future. And that's how I've landed on Dynamo Dresden for the club for this journey. As far as their culture went, they weren't really bothered about youth, so that was ideal for us. So this is our Dresden squad. Obviously we won't even need to look at the under-19s because they're completely out of the equation. So as far as DNAs for this team, well, it's going to be quite tricky. So we've got passing, vision and technique and first touch. But then we're going to concentrate on mentals like anticipation, decisions, composure and concentration. So what we're going for here is creative veterans allowed to express themselves with the priority on ball retention and intelligence. We're going to use that philosophy to evaluate our team and sign players with Moneyball as well. What we'll look out for is mostly passing based stuff such as passes completed, percentage, assists and key passes. Don't get me wrong though, if we do manage to find experienced players who are great physically as well, that'll be a massive added bonus. So the other reason I chose Dynamo Dresden was the expectations aren't high. We're expected to finish 16th place at 50-1. Now of my current first team squad, if I knock it into age order, you'll see I've only got 4 players over 30, so they're the only 4 that are guaranteed to start matches this season. As a reminder, I can only sign players that are 32 years of age and over. So signing players is going to be restrictive, but it should be a lot of fun. And the good news with this approach is we won't need a big transfer budget as player values should be lower. So we will probably concentrate mostly on shifting the transfer budget to the wage budget, and I've already increased the scouting range to world, so that's where we'll spend most of our budget in terms of recruitment. Now I have made a search filter already, old but gold, and as you can see from the early list, there are some big time players there available already. And speaking of the scouting range, I had some gaps in the scouting team that I was able to add to, so I'm going to look to recruit some scouts that have got knowledge of all over the world, every little corner to find us some old goats. And I've already found some that should be ideal. New head scout, Carlos da Silva. He's an impressive guy and he's got impressive knowledge of a variety of different countries, as does his countryman Hugo Pina, a particular eye on South America there. And to cover the rest of the world, Philippe comes in from France. He's going to have a casting eye over Africa. Now what I'm expecting to be one of the tougher parts of this is the tactic build. So I've only got 4 over 30s who will slot into the team. As far as the formation goes, the setup there, that will likely change, but I'm going to start with this. I just think it might help us keep the ball a little bit more with the 2 playmaking wingbacks jumping inside alongside the defensive midfielder. We'll have a free roll and attacking midfielder backing up 1 striker, inside forwards as well. So we're going to play narrow because we're not going to have players who can bomb past players and cross the ball in. Now we didn't have a great deal of money, so to generate funds and get things moving, everybody got listed who was under 30 years of age. And pretty much instantly everybody was kicking off. So out went some promising youngsters, they were the first out the door. And replacing them with some grizzled veterans. 38-year-old Salvatore Sirigu.
He needs to call it a day.
The Italian with 28 caps comes in as our new #1 goalkeeper. Joining him was 34-year-old Eliki Mangala, 37-year-old Denis Adoy, and 37-year-old creative midfielder Nicolas Gaitan. Now that might sound old, but I could have gone older, such as Kaizu Honma at 45, and Danny Guiza, who claims to be 44 but looks at least 98. This guy's had some career. So those veteran players come straight into the team. Now there were some legend players available, such as 38-year-old Dimitri Payet, who's still got all the technical and mental abilities, but players like him just were not keen on joining the club, maybe next season. Fair to say it's been a busy first pre-season. I've got 9 players now over 30, led by Salvatore Sirigu at 38 and Denis Adoy at 37. They've still got a bit of class though. And interestingly, those signings have given us a little bit more respect. It's bumped us up to 33-1 now. They think these players have made our chances a bit better. So I'm well into pre-season now. The transfer budget says 300,000, but the wage budget is non-existent because we're in the red. So this might be the only signings we make this season. So for this season, these boys will probably play every match. Now, interestingly, there's a couple of players at the club who are already over 30 and they're pretty decent as well. Striker Stefan Kuczki. Now he's 36, but check out those attributes. So we'll get the most out of him for 1 season. He's going to be supported in attacking midfield by Vincent here. Again, pretty damn decent and 6'5". At the back, we've got Vinko Sapina, who is just a youngster at 30. We've played 1 pre-season so far against Fenerbahce, and it was all right, 1-1. I don't think that's a bad performance. They've got a lot of good players, so I think that bodes quite well. I'm pretty confident we'll be able to survive this season. Now, I said this on the aggressive team, where the only goal is to survive, but this season it really is to just survive, because it's going to be a lot tougher, I think. Now look, I'm 44, nearly 45, so I am right on these guys' wavelength. We're going to prove people wrong. Well, things didn't start great for us, because despite all the experience in the world, we lost to a penalty on the first game of the season. And the bad results just kept on coming. But then I managed to secure a couple of signings, including 37-year-old attacker Max Gradel. And he was proven to be vital with 5 goals, 4 assists in his 16 matches. I already gave him a contract for next season. Another player that came in was Velasquez, a centre-back from Argentina. Despite not winning a ton of matches, we weren't losing that many either, and at the halfway point of the season we'd only lost 6 times and we had 17 points, so we're out of the relegation zone. To get there I had to adapt a bit and we changed the formation ever so slightly to this 4-2-3-1, but some players like Mangala have been that good they've had the contracts extended for another season. He's been one of the better defenders in the league. But we did only have 3 wins for the season and I'm getting a bit concerned because we've gone 6 games without a win. This brought about a tactic change and one I'm probably going to stick to, where we drop the tempo to standard or even lower just to help out the players' stamina. Now I've done that for a few reasons, one of which is opposition managers are starting to actually mock the age of my team. Can you believe it? These cheeky little... And also some of the players like 37-year-old Dennis Ordoy, well, they are just starting to show some signs of decline, which is natural. And in the first game with the new lower tempo, one of the most unbelievable games I've ever seen in my Football Manager life. Before I get to it, the star of the show was Vinko Sapina, who's probably a defender or a defensive midfielder, so I chucked him into an attacking midfield zone. He bagged a hat-trick. So into the match, we were knocking the ball around nicely and took an early lead. Just a minute later, we scored again. Gradle supplied the assist, 2-0 up. This is where things went a little bit mental, as Gruyfer scored 3 times in 3 minutes. Second half, 5-4. Nah, 6-5. A penalty made it 6-6. And then in injury time, that error made it 7-6. But it wasn't done yet. In the 95th minute, Sapina completed his hat-trick, making it 7-7. What have we just seen? But that 7-7 draw was pretty much the highlight of a really hard second half of the season. A second half of the season where I nearly got sacked. In fact, just to stay up, we had to triumph in the relegation playoffs. Now I knew it was always going to be hard, but I didn't think it was going to be that blooming hard. Relegation playoff? Believe it or not, it probably gets harder now because in the off-season and pre-season, I've got to get rid of all the younger players and bring in my dinosaurs. And to be fair to the board, they've stuck faith with me and they've given me 2.2 million to spend, but I'm going to move that into the wage budget. And I've already got some deals lined up, including 44-year-old Roque Santa Cruz. Right, so this is going to be a big season. Now, if you look at my squad now, I've got about half the squad as over 30, and look at the all-time appearances down here. We've got 500s, 400s, it's huge. And as for the DNA of the squad, it's alright, They're all in double figures, but we need to get these up to a higher level to give us even a sliver of a chance of getting to the Bundesliga, which is our goal. Now, we weren't keeping an eye on too many metrics. I just wanted to have a little look at things like passing. The pass percentage, as I put it in order, is actually really good. A lot of them are in 90%, so that bodes well. Now, assists per 90 is not looking great. Disregard the guy at the top because he hardly played, and the rest of them, we need somebody to step up there. Similar story with key passes, although Nicholas Gaetan was pretty decent. One of our most creative players, his key passes are okay, but assists, we just need something more. The good news is we're doing alright defensively, winning the ball back at a decent rate. Now, tactically wise, we closed out the season using this. Couple of advanced centre-backs moving forward, half-back dropping back, bit of rotation, so nice fluid movements because we can't do a lot of movement in regards to sprinting, so let's confuse opposition by moving and switching positions. And it seemed to do the job in terms of keeping the ball. Although we didn't win the match, the 2-2 draw in the playoff, 73% ball possession. If we can do that next season with some better players, we might be onto something. Because we need to be clever, because things like high intensity sprints, we're not going to finish anywhere near the top of that, are we? So it's a good sign that we're hardly losing the ball. We're keeping it better than almost everybody. So I gave a sneak preview that I'd already signed Roque Santa Cruz, coming in on a free transfer. And there's a bunch of others coming as well. 40-year-old Brazilian Fernandinho, not that one. He's actually pretty good technically at 40. I mean, fair play, fella, fair play. Martin Caceres, Uruguayan, 39 years old. Again, he's not that bad physically. Let's disregard the pace because we're not going to need that. His position is an inside fullback. Could be perfect for this formation. Speaking of fullbacks, Mauricio Isla, who has 144 caps for Chile. Rounding out the movement is 37-year-old Shinji Kagawa, Japanese, formerly of Dortmund, Manchester United, amongst many others. He's got 97 caps for Japan. So all those fellas were out of contract and looking for a club, so we've snapped them up. Now some of these guys down here, they've got clubs and they're out of contract, and we have swooped for them too. 36-year-old midfielder Moussa Sissoko, 71 caps for France, 89% pass completion rate this season. Probably the perfect advanced centre-back signing in Spaniard Javi Martinez. Once costing Bayern Munich 32.5 million. And there's a few more to come as well. I say a few more, how about 15 as they all joined at once? And things looked okay in pre-season. We put up a good fight against Manchester United and that was pretty much their first choice team. So I'm cautiously optimistic. And I should be, because we are not fancied at all in the pre-season odds. We started to move players out, and we had success on the first game of the season with a hard-fought 3-2 win. We got a good draw in our second game away at Nuremberg, but the goals were telling me something. We are live with Eliki Mangala here, and as the game gets going, you can see he really struggles to keep up with the striker. And that continued to be the theme in the early days, because when we get caught out, them boys just could not catch the strikers. So I made a few changes, dropping the line of engagement and dropping the defensive line to much lower. Surely they can't get in behind us now. And slowly but surely, results did start to pick up and we got a bit more consistency going on. Always on the lookout for quality free agents, I picked up Mario Lemina for midfield. Now he does give us a little bit of stamina. Also coming in with striker, Tamir Pukki. He's actually done pretty well for us with 6 goals in 14. And in that last match, he was assisted by another new signing in Hakim Ziyech. This is the sort of attacking midfielder I've been looking for. It meant at the halfway stage, although not blowing teams away, at least we're not struggling as bad as last season in 12th position. And we've got a new shape to try and counter-attack those balls over the top, because it's still happening despite the lower defensive line. So now I've got a double pivot in front of them, Lamina and Sapina. Now these two are probably our two most physically imposing old men. Lamina's 33 and he gets around the pitch really well. So ignore the style there where it says gegenpress, because I've just built this from an old tactic and it is very much not gegenpress, as you can see here, because we're actually rocking a standard defensive line and a mid block. I tried lower, it just didn't work. Now I'm telling you, this is the hardest challenge I've done yet, to try and get these boys into the Bundesliga with their age. Now for giggles, I added in stamina column down here. I'm thinking this is the one that's actually screwing us up a bit. If I press stamina order, you can see we've got a couple of guys who are great, but they're the guys who are still 21, 27, who don't play at all. Then we've got Lamina who's came in, and Sapina. But then if you take away the 20-year-olds, it starts to drop off dramatically. That is going to be the problem and the big thing stopping us progressing, I think. In the second half of the season, another new signing, Mario Rui, the experienced left-back, supplied Ziyech for another good goal. But overall, it was a brutal second half of the season. And once again, we only survived by winning the relegation playoff. This, my friends, is rough. Although we won more games than last season, we just couldn't get going. Pukki was absolutely vital and he sticks around for another season. But a lot of the players have decided to call it a day, including Eliki Mangala, which I'm gutted about, and 40-year-old goalkeeper Salvatore Sirigu. He's on his way out as well. In fact, when you look at the squad, an absolute load of them have decided to go home and play jigsaws. So going forward, look, we've had our fun with our old men, our 50-year-olds, our 40-year-olds, but I think the only way we're going to get this team out of this blooming league to get these stamina levels a bit higher up, because the physicals of our team are so low. So when it comes to recruitment, I think I need to get in a few 33-year-olds, maybe 34-year-olds at a push in key positions where we need them to have a bit of legs. I'm telling you, without a shadow of a doubt, this is the hardest thing I've done on Football Manager. At this stage, I cannot see us getting promoted ever. So I'm going to throw these tactics in the trash and go for a complete new one for the new season. And the squad's going to be completely rebuilt because they're all going to put the feet up. And as time goes on, it's getting harder and harder and I'm starting to feel it. So entering season 3, it looked like a new approach, and we start with a super small squad because we've shipped everybody out and loads of players have retired. But not to worry, because 9 came straight through the door, and we ended up signing a staggering 20 players to short-term contracts, including striker Brenner. Last season for the high-powered Nam Dim of Vietnam, he scored 11 in 16 at 0.7 goals per match. Englishman Nathan Redmond, and then I concentrated on players with decent fitness and stamina like Jeremy Malo, Sean Kleiber and Anderson Esiti. So now I had them in, it gave me a chance to get some luxury players, and I started with Nabil Fekir. He's still absolutely outstanding when it comes to technicals and mentals, and there was still time to get Adel Tarabt. I can't believe he's still playing at 38, but same gig as Fekir, outstanding technically. Just don't ask him to run. That meant we had a completely new squad, and more impressively, all but 4 players had double-figure stamina. Will this make the difference? Apparently not, according to the media. They have us down at 100 to 1. For the 3rd season in a row, we'd basically got a completely new team. Some of the players are really handy. We found Divine Lunga from South Africa. The Zimbabwean has everything we need. And as we went into the season, hopes were high. We were unlucky in that our first game of the season was against title favourites Mainz, but Fekir was looking good. Given a free roll in the side, he was rolling back the years. He was flying with 8 goals in 20 matches with 6 assists. This is the best performance we've had out of one of our superstar veterans yet. And it was starting to look like this could be the season. We even beat Bundesliga side Heidenheim 6-1 in the Pokal. But then this happened.
Breaking news, FM update now live with a new match engine.
A new match engine. New match engine. Yep, that happened. We'd had a pretty good first half of the season. After this victory against Karlsruhe, we were sitting in the top 5. Then that news hit and this is the run we went on. Any promotion hopes completely obliterated and we ended up 15th. I mean, that's our record so far. Only Fekir kept up his performances. What a signing he's been, he's got another year. We also signed Jacob Murphy on a free transfer. He started great, then that update hit and he tailed off a bit, but he should be okay for next season. But wait, there was a silver lining in the season. Do you remember the Pokal when we beat Heidenheim 6-1? Well, in the quarters we beat Mainz 5-2, which meant, unbelievably, we'd made it to the Pokal semi-finals, where we will play Bundesliga side Werder Bremen. For this one, everything changed. A low line with a mid-block. We went more direct and focused to play down the right-hand side. I watched on as we went behind after just 3 minutes. But then, urging the boys on from the side, we sprung a great counter-attack. In fact, it was an absolute beauty. And then the place erupted as Brenner and Fekir linked up to score a stunning extra-time winner. The goal to get to the Bundesliga is yet again a bust. This is getting embarrassing, but we're in the main cup final in Germany. The problem is, it's RB Leipzig. So can the big man cap off a stunning season by getting us an upset? Well, we got a dream start as Fekir supplied Brenner and he put us in front. But then Leipzig scored 5. So that was pretty brutal, but it wasn't why we're here. We're trying to get this team to the Bundesliga and we need to go again. So this season it was going well when I concentrated on getting a few players with better stamina in. In fact, the overall look of the squad is good now. I went back to basics with 4-2-3-1s, both attacking and counter, but it didn't quite cut the mustard. Specifically after that update, so I need to get to grips with that now, get a better tactic, load the new players in, and we go again. The good news is Nabil's not retiring, so we've got him for another season. So we are 3 seasons deep now. I've got some good players coming in out of contract. Includes players with the league experience like Mile Corboz, an American central midfielder. He's got fantastic attributes. Where's this guy been? And for his club, he's got 90% pass rate, so he should be ideal for central midfield. We ended up bringing in a load of players. This is the way it works with these 12 months rolling contracts. But adding in stamina alongside our other base DNA means we've got more of a well-rounded squad now. So this pre-season I concentrated again on getting players that can get around the pitch a bit, such as Jonas Fornbach. I've got him lined up for a left wing. You can see he's got pace of 15, which is incredibly rare for someone over 30. And there were several other players that hit that remit just like him. But let's not forget the best player last season was the Maverick Nabil Fekir. So I got another one. Luis Muriel, formerly of Atalanta, joins, but I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Brazilian Felipe Coutinho, now 36, technicals and mentals for days. As long as he doesn't have to move, he should be a great talent. On the complete opposite end of the scale, 35-year-old giant 6'5" striker Kiefer Moore. The media are clearly not happy with my approach of getting grafters to do the work, while the Mavericks just float around. And Coutinho, well, he started off pretty well, bagging a few goals and a few assists. Which was handy because Fekir, now 35, was declining rapidly. Having said that, we're having a pretty good start to the season. At the halfway stage, it's our best season yet. We're sitting in 3rd position, but that's probably because everybody seems to be losing. And then the big game changer arrived. I don't really like him, but I signed Neil Maupay. He slotted in up front with Coutinho and Jacob Murphy in behind him. Pretty much since day one he's been outstanding. And yes, he's an annoying little gerbil, but he's been smashing goals in for me left and right. Pretty astonishing impact with 15 goals in his 18 matches after he joined in January. At no point in this journey have any of our strikers got close to 0.8 goals per 90 minutes. With his impact we had a pretty stunning second half of the season. and with a game to go, the oldies from Dresden are on the brink of accomplishing the feat of getting to the Bundesliga, but look how tight it is with any of the top 4 in with a chance of promotion. We've done it using my triple advanced centre-back tactic with a few tweaks to suit the players. To be honest, it's a bit of a miracle because no teams have more shots against them on target than us. We don't make interceptions, we're not winning the ball back, and we're pathetic at tackling. But what we have done is score the most goals, and that's always going to help. So we went into the final match of the season knowing a win would get us into the Bundesliga. And it was only fitting that it was a little Maupay knockdown and Jacob Murphy smashed it in. And this ragtag bunch of old players got themselves promoted and all immediately decided to retire. 71 players have came through the door since we've been at the club in 4 seasons. 71. Now I'm telling you, that's the hardest save I've ever done. It's a miracle we've got promoted. We got lucky on a few accounts. Now if you look at the top of the table here, we lost 7. There's 8, 7, 11, 10. Everybody lost a ton of matches, but this is the one that's going to blow your mind. Whether you believe in XG or not, look at this. We finished champions, remember, but we should have finished 12th. I've never seen that before. So proud of the old lads for getting it done. The best bit about it was having the Mavericks, the Taraps, the Fakirs, the Coutinhos. Look, he fell away at the end of the season pretty badly, but he started superbly. 5 goals, 5 assists. It all counts. And it was quite a weird thing seeing Coutinho and Fakir in behind Kiefer Moore at the start of the season, but to be fair to the guy, he did bang in 10 goals. And obviously there's the star of the show, but it's really hard to praise him because he's such a little So as the vast majority of my squad decide to set off into the sunset, after the stress of this save, it's probably right that I do the same thing. But wait, we can't go out like that. I'm feeling young and reborn. We're going to try and keep these boys in the Bundesliga. I even spent 1.5 million on a striker, Matthias Babi. Then I brought in Hwan Hee-chan, Amin Harit, Watari Endo, Frank Kesse, Kenny Tete, Timo Werner, Eric Barley, and 38-year-old Riyad Mahrez. The media might have no faith in us, 900 to 1, but our first opponent's manager, Dortmund's Vinny Kompany, well, he had some respect for us. And Frank Kesse blew and scored and gave us a win on our first game back in the Bundesliga. But then we didn't win for 15 matches. And I got sacked.
Leave the football before the football leaves you. The football's left them.